Stigma is one of the biggest challenges in communities, but do we know that, it does actually even affect adherences or adhering to medication when it comes to HIV? And what are some of the, things that we need to do to deal with stigma even now in 2024 with so much information that is out there with HIV? Is it ignorance? Is it that we're not even trying to take it upon ourselves and put ourselves as responsible individuals for our health and for the health of others? Find out on stigma in communities and more on this upcoming Clinical Monday with Mesuli Latha out in Nkosi. Clinical Monday, the best way to begin a healthy week. Good morning to you and happy Monday wherever you are tuning in to this episode of Clinical Monday. For our Pop in Chats, my name is Nkosi. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you spending your data, your Wi-Fi, and just 30 minutes out of your day tuning into this episode. Today, for this Monday, yes, live from or I'm popping out in Pietermaritzburg, and like I said, we're coming to you live, so you'll be hearing a bit of a background noise here and there, but please bear with us. We are shining the spotlight on HIV stigma in communities, because I think stigma is one of the biggest hindrances, like I said in my intro. And helping us dissect this, it is our social worker out here at Orampopin, and they'll be helping us just to, get this better. Their name is Mesuli Latha. And yeah, man, please make sure that you're part of the conversation by putting your comments on the comment section below, and also finding us on X. It is at @in_health with the hashtag Clinical Monday, and also on www.popin.org just to get the behind the scenes. Mesuli, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Are you good? Yes. Don't worry, just a conversation. We know that stigma is one of the hindrances, or could be potentially one of the hindrances when it comes to HIV. But a lot of people maybe might not even know what stigma is, and maybe they might do it just out of ignorance or out of not even knowing. But if you were to break down, what is stigma?
A stigma is a negative attitude or unfair belief that a society or a group of people have about something. It could be a sexuality, it could be any disease. So when it's relating to HIV, it could be a social disapproval or discrimination towards people living with HIV. There is externalized stigma because it happens in our communities, it happens in societies. We also have an internalized stigma. The internalized stigma, it's a stigma whereby an individual person have that or experience a negative feeling about themselves due to their HIV status. So that could lead to depression, that could lead to isolation, that could also lead to a person not staying into care.
So those types, so there's external that is largely, maybe perhaps even perpetuated by the community, and there is internal, that is the one that is dealing with like self. That is for, and it's quite interesting because we sometimes just throw these as like stigma, but we don't even can't even tell between internal and external stigma. Then how does stigma affect the progress? I think you touched on it when you were explaining it to us what it is, but how can it then affect the progress made in fighting HIV?
It can affect it negatively because it would affect the health, it would also affect the well-being of the person living with HIV. Remember that as NGO, we're dealing with 95-95 strategy. So it will affect the first 95, whereby the person wouldn't even want to go for an HIV test. So in that way, the progress is already affected. It will also affect the second 95, whereby the client does not want to remain into care. They don't remain into care, they don't want to be seen going to a clinic or a facility for their medication. It could also affect the last one, the viral suppression, because definitely if they're not taking their medication, suppression won't be there. So it affects, that is how it actually affects the progress. The internalized one would lead to a person feeling of shame or feeling of they cannot disclose to their family or partners because of a stigma that they're feeling internally. So definitely it will also affect that person into remaining into care.
So stigma is it's a bad thing, and I don't think we want that, because I think there has been so many strides, and both from the NGO world and the public sector in terms of fighting HIV or managing even the spread of HIV. So I think, stigma, as it remains one of the biggest challenges, I think things needs to be done when it comes to that. So you spoke about internal stigma and external stigma, or rather external stigma and internal stigma. Does it mean that it exists? So on your day-to-day, I mean, you see clients almost every day. Does it there? Do you see it? Does it exist?
It still exists. It still exists, unfortunately, because with the internal one, you will find there are people that don't want to be seen coming to a mobile, taking their medication. They don't want to be seen with a branded car coming there every month to give them medication. There are also those that don't want to be in a relationship with a positive person if they are negative. So it still exists. It's still there.
And I mean, you can still be in a relationship with somebody who's HIV positive. I mean, there's you equals you and that. But we'll answer some of these questions as we continue. And I invite you at this point to be part of the conversation. Don't forget, on X we're at @n_health with the hashtag Clinical Monday, and also on Oram Pop In's Facebook page. It is at Oram Pop In, YouTube, TikTok, and then you can find us. We are literally everywhere. Don't forget that website, www.popin.org, to get yourself an opportunity to see what we are all about and what Pop In does. Just beyond Clinical Mondays, and I mean some great work or career opportunities even. Just make sure that you go to www.popin.org. But back to the conversation. So we know that stigma does exist both internally and externally. What kind of interventions? Because I think we have sort of we broke it down, and we know that it's a problem in Kenya. So then how can we address this, or what are some of the interventions that are there to address this stigma surrounding HIV?
It's definitely educating people. We need to educate people about HIV. Although there is information about HIV is everywhere, but we still need to go to communities and educate people. We still need to or experience this internalized stigma. They need to come for counseling. The counseling session will definitely help them. Support groups as well, because remember, with support groups, you will feel comfortable talking about HIV.
You're not alone.
Yes. You also feel less stigmatized when you're around people.
I got you. Do you think it's ignorance? You just said HIV is literally everywhere. We talk about it. When you wake up, it's there. On the internet, pamphlets everywhere. NGOs, public sector, everywhere. It's there. So the information is there. Do you think it's ignorance that we are not taking the liberty to read, to know more about it?
It could be ignorant. It could be ignorant because the information is there. It's there. People know. We're going to communities every day. We're talking about HIV. We're doing everything about HIV. But there is a lack of information somewhere, because if there is someone who also I cannot be in a relationship with a negative person, with a positive person, then it shows that there is still a lack of information, because should say about you, because they don't know what the PrEP is there for a relationship whereby your partner is positive and negative. So
So we definitely need to do as much education as possible. Do you think it's even there? I mean, not that it's, do you think it is there? Do you think that it's ignorance? I mean, how many years down the line of us even talking about HIV, what has been your experience? We invite your comments in that sense. So how do we then, assist clients who are dealing with stigma? So you touched on personal, on internal. Stigma. Internalized stigma. How, before we deal with the external, how do we deal with it? Because I mean, let's be honest, Mesuli, when I found out that I'm HIV positive, it's not as easy as like, you just take your medication, you'll be fine. It's difficult. I definitely experience the stigma. How do I deal with it? The internal stigma.
We actually need to do a one-on-one session or counseling with the person, so that they will improve their attitudes towards HIV. They will improve, they will have a positive attitude towards HIV. Also assist the client to it was disclosure to a person that they trust, because once you have a support system, it makes it more easier for you to actually remain into care, take your medication as directed, and actually be comfortable with HIV. So it's definitely a one-on-one sessions, and support groups as well. you need to even a coping skills.
Yeah, I've got you. So then that's how we can actually even deal with stigma, because stigma then affects adherence, which brings me to my next question.
Yes.
It does affect adherence, because if you feel somewhat about this, your status, you like, what is this? I don't even want to take the medication.
yes.
Yeah.
So it does affect adherence, more especially those people with high concern of stigma. So they are more likely to adhere than those with low concern of stigma. Remember, if also are surrounded by people, so you won't be able to take your medication because you don't want them to question what is it. So it's definitely going to affect adherence. You won't experience an internalized stigma, they're more likely to adhere or be suppressed.
And that could be a challenge. Yes. But how can we, participate in ending, or not even ending, maybe at least fighting stigma? Because if it's in our communities, it is much chance of it, continuing its high, because you are dealing with people who are just ignorant or who don't even want to let go of stigma because information is there. See. How do you participate in doing that? In fighting it.
Remember that stigma is also rooted from lack of information.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to continue educating people. We need to do awareness campaigns and everything. We need to start in educating this is what is HIV and updating what new information, because remember information keeps on changing. So we need to update people if information it happens with change as well. So definitely going to our communities and educating people.
Awareness campaigns and all sorts of campaigns to make sure that we are fighting this stigma, and most definitely we will. In closing, just at the top of your head, how would you advise someone who is dealing with the stigma and is living with HIV, and especially if they are just newly diagnosed and they don't know what to do, how to go about it? Like what would be your advice?
If you are actually feeling a stigma or you feel come for support, support.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. Come for support. There are a lot of NGOs and even us. We're providing psychosocial support. So you come for psychosocial support so that we'll find how do we deal with stigma as well.
Yeah, I got you. Mesuli, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. We've learned a thing or two from them. Stigma, we have to do something with it, and I hope wherever you are, you've gained some kind of knowledge when it comes to stigma. Amen. Communities, let's do better. Mesuli, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, V. Thanks for
Support. That has been the theme that comes out of this conversation, where we dealt with HIV and stigma. And also, we just throw these words on like stigma, but we don't even know that there are two types of stigmas, or there could even be more. But external stigma, internal stigma. So if you're dealing with any, make sure that you seek support and pop in at your nearest pop-in sites for psychosocial support if you're really struggling with coming to terms with your HIV status and also in fighting stigma. And I hope to see you on all of them. But make sure that you're also part of this conversation on Clinical Monday. Until we see you on